take tech-free vacations, sleep without checking devices.
Okay, I cannot do that. I can definitely not do that. Like anytime like the power goes out, I feel like a cave woman. Hello YouTube, we are going to be reacting to the psychology of 90s babies. So like people that were born 1990 to 1999. I wasn't born during that time. I was born later. 2000, okay. It's just a year later. It's just a year. But I'm not as old as you guys. Anyways, as always, if you guys enjoy my video so far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and check out my other videos as well. I would really appreciate it, okay? Okay.
You know what's strange about people born in the 1990s? They remember a world that doesn't exist anymore. They played outside until the streetlights came on, but also remember their first AIM screen name. They used in...
Yeah, what is an AIM? Eh? AIM like AIM?
Encyclopedias for school projects, but also downloaded music on Napster. They're the last generation who had a childhood without smartphones.
He didn't have to go there? Okay, that's what? What? My childhood with smartphones is not that bad. Okay, kind of is.
But came of age with social media. And that split, that created a psychology researchers are calling 90s kids syndrome. If you were born between 1990 and 1999, you occupy a space in history that will never be repeated. You're not quite...
Hopefully. I'm joking. I'm joking.
A millennial. You're definitely not Gen Z. You're the bridge between two incompatible worlds, Cartoon Network and YouTube, Blockbuster and Netflix, playing outside and playing online. And here's what nobody tells you. That split childhood created adults who are simultaneously nostalgic for simplicity and fluent in complexity. And it's affecting your mental health in ways you probably don't even recognize.
Really? Oh my god, I didn't know it was that deep though. Holy. Really? Is that how you guys actually feel? What?
Picture this. It's 1998. You're 8 years old. Saturday morning means
1998 and you're 8? So that means you were like born 1990s then. Whoa, how old would they be right now? 1990s, they would be like 36 years old, right? Like they would be, yeah, they would be 36.
Waking up early for cartoons. Scooby-Doo, Rugrats, DuckTales. You pour yourself a bowl of sugary cereal and sit cross-legged on the floor in front of the TV. No tablets, no streaming services, no on-demand anything. If you missed it, you missed it. And somehow, that made it matter more. After cartoons, you head outside. Not because your parents told you to, because that's what kids did. You played hide and seek.
Wait, I really don't understand, but like this is what kids do nowadays as well though. Like we still go outside. Yeah, you just have to like text your friends to go outside and see who is like, you know, available to play. What? Isn't this like you have phones? Yeah, to like, you know, text your friends to see who's like available. Don't you guys do that? Or you just like randomly just go outside and you just play with any kid that's like outside? Stop! We just went outside. Oh, okay. So you guys just went outside and played with any kid outside. Ah, okay.
Seek until dusk. You climbed trees. You rode bikes through the neighborhood without helmets or supervision. Scraped knees and muddy clothes weren't emergencies.
Wait, what about the people that were like nerds or gamers? Did they also go outside? Or did they like, instead of going outside, they would go to arcades? Like, what do they do? Or do they just play games at home on like their, you know, like those old computers? They also went outside? Oh, okay. There were no computers. Oh, so during that time, there wasn't any gamer? It was mostly just arcade and skate park. More like in the arcade. Okay. Arcade. If you didn't have the entertainment, you went outside. Okay.
Were badges of honor, proving you'd actually lived that day. According to research on 90s childhood, kids spent an average of 3 to 4 hours outside daily. Today, less than 30 minutes. A 2023 WHO study found that over 80% of today's adolescents don't meet recommended physical activity levels. But you were the last generation that experienced unstructured outdoor play as the default, not the exception. You didn't need fancy toys. A stick became a sword. An empty lot became a battlefield. Your backyard transformed into whatever your imagination needed it to be. And because you couldn't Google what to do when bored, you developed something rare: creativity born from emptiness, the ability to generate fun from nothing. But here's where it gets complicated.
I don't know. I feel like all this depends on like your upbringing though. I think all this depends on like your upbringing. I mean, I'm guessing he's kind of like making like a difference with like iPad kids like right now. But if it was for me though, I literally did all this. Like my parents didn't give me like a phone till I was what, 15? That was when I got like my first phone. I didn't like, the only thing I had was like a TV and going outside. That was basically it. So I feel like all this has to do with like upbringing, okay? You don't get fed entertainment, you made it yourself. So TV then. I remember this literal middle of the desert with very little money despite being born in 2005. Yeah, for real. To be fair, Neela, you're on the edge of this range of kids too. Yeah, but even like, for example, the nieces, yeah, like my roommate nieces, they're like what, 11, 12 right now, and she still has like other nieces as well. They're like 4, 3. Their parents don't give them iPads or phones and stuff like that. They all have, it depends on the upbringing. They have like limited time for when they can use the phone, and most of the time they're always outside. They're literally always outside. It depends on like where you're living. If you're living more in the city,
agree, it's a lot about the upbringing, but back then we had no choice. Today a lot of parents are too busy and just sit the kids in front of TV or phone.
Okay, my parents did sit me in front of the TV, but that was because they had work though. You know, that was like because they had work. But I don't know. I feel like this is not only just for like people born in the 90s, you know? Yeah. As a 97 kid, I only really played outside during school breaks, mostly watched TV or played on the console. Oh, my first console was like the PS2, and that was what, in 2019? Yeah, that was literally my first console.
You didn't just grow up analog. You lived through the transition. You remember VHS tapes and rewinding them before returning to Blockbuster.
Yeah, 2019. I've told you guys multiple times, I was never a gamer. Okay, I never played games before. Most of the things I did before was like TV, going outside. I was literally a normie. Okay, I was literally a normie. It's just now that I started streaming that I started playing games.
But you also remember when DVDs felt like magic. You used dial-up internet where a single web page took 5 minutes to load. But by high school, you had broadband. You typed school papers on actual typewriters in elementary school.
Oh my god, what is that? Dude, these existed then? I thought these were like older. Oh my god. What?
By middle school, you were using Word documents. According to researchers, 90s babies experienced a unique blend of traditional education and the beginning of tech-based learning. You spent hours in libraries using card catalogs and encyclopedias, but you were also the first generation to use computers in school regularly. You're bilingual in a way no generation before or after will ever be. Analog native, digital fluent. And social media? You remember life before it. You had actual privacy. When you did something embarrassing, only the people there knew about it. No phones filming, no...
Okay, this is actually true though. This, I definitely would want it to go back to how it was though. You know, but it did help with, you know, nowadays, if someone is like doing something bad, then you can film them and, you know, they get like, they're like shamed for it. Yeah, so it has like its ups and downs.
The 80s grew up pre-internet.
Yeah, but this is in the 80s though. We're talking about the 90s here. Yeah. Neela doesn't want us clipping her funniest moments. No! No. Yeah, this definitely has like its pros and cons. Yeah, definitely has its pros and cons though. Yes, this definitely isn't accurate for the later 90s kids. This is actually more those born in the 80s and maybe super early 90s. as that is in the time frame, they would be kids and experiences. Oh, okay.
Viral videos, no permanent digital record of your worst moments. One 90s baby put it perfectly. We all talked crazy amounts of shit about each other and did shockingly inappropriate things, but we never had to worry about it ending up where everyone could see it. You got to figure out who you were in private. That's a luxury that will never exist again. But then MySpace launched when you were a teenager. Facebook opened to everyone when you were in high school or college. Instagram appeared as you entered adulthood. You learned to curate yourself, to perform your life for an audience, to seek validation through likes and comments. And that shift, it split your psychology in half.
Okay, this I do agree with though. This is definitely true. This is definitely true, but only if you give those likes and comments importance though. Only if you feel like you need that validation. You know what I mean?
Here's what researchers noticed. 90s babies experience unusually intense nostalgia. They call it 90s kids syndrome. And it's not just sentimentality, it's neurological. According to studies on psychological essentialism, people tend to believe their personal experiences are more authentic than others. And 90s babies? They lived through a fundamental shift. They witnessed the death of one world and the birth of another. So when they look back, they're not just remembering their childhood. They're mourning an entire way of life that disappeared. The rosy retrospection bias explains why you idealize the past. Your brain filters out the mundane and distressing parts and preserves the emotional.
But wouldn't that be the same thing as, let's say, people that like were in the 80s or 70s? I feel like that's a normal thing though. I genuinely think that's a normal thing. The more our society advances, yeah, the more things have to like change. I don't think there's like a 90s syndrome.
Highs. It's not that the 90s were perfect. You just remember them that way. Because what you're actually missing isn't the decade, it's the feeling. Being fully present without constant comparison. Living without performing. Existing without documenting. One researcher described 90s kids perfectly. They are the living testimony endorsing the fall of antiquity and the rise of modernity. You're the only generation that can compare both worlds accurately.
Oh.
You know what was gained. You also know what was lost.
Okay.
Here's the part that's harder to talk about. A study from the University of California.
I think the shift seems more prevalent because it was not only a shift of a century, but also a shift of a millennium. And along with the advancement of technology, yeah, you just said it. That does make sense. That definitely does make sense.
Analyzing over 27,500 adults, found something devastating. People born in the 90s have worse mental health than any previous generation.
Oh my God. Is this actually true though? Wait, there's a bunch of you guys are like born during this time. Would you guys actually agree? Huh? I don't know. I believe it's. We're pretty mental. I mean, I'm fine. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of yeah. I'd agree. Oh wow. Oh my God, I didn't know that. Damn. Okay.
Depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders are significantly higher among 90s babies compared to those born in the 80s, and these disorders get progressively worse with age. The researchers concluded that technology and social media use are primary factors, but it's more than that. You were raised with one set of values. Emotions and sentiments controlled us, as one researcher put it, then forced to adapt to a world where devices dominate everything. You learn that friendships were built through shared experiences. Then you watch social media turn connection into performance. You developed self-worth through actual accomplishments. Then you entered a world where value is measured in followers and likes. That cognitive dissonance creates psychological strain. You're not depressed because you're weak. You're exhausted because you're living in two incompatible realities simultaneously. But here's what 90s babies have that other generations don't. Perspective. You know what life was like without constant connectivity, so you can put your phone down at dinner, take tech-free vacations, sleep without checking devices.
Okay, I cannot do that. I can definitely not do that. Like anytime like the power goes out in the whole neighborhood for like a few hours, I feel like a cave woman. I'm being so serious. I'm actually I'm like checking my phone. I'm praying the battery doesn't die. I'm like going through like old posts that aren't even like loading because there's no internet. I'm already so addicted to like my phone, my PC, literally technology. I don't think I would be able to like just go to an isolated area without no internet, no nothing.
Because you remember what presence actually feels like. You value authenticity over performance because you developed identity before audiences existed. You understand patience because you waited for things, for songs to download, for photos to develop, for your favorite show to air at its scheduled time.
Oh my God. I mean, oof. That is true though. That is definitely true, not gonna lie. Yeah, I definitely do not have that. You guys already know every single time a new show comes out, I always wait until all the episodes are like out so that way I can binge it, you know? I'm not the type to like wait one episode a week.
Lol.
You wishing you lived near me? What the what the hell? So you do wait. I mean, while I'm waiting, I'm doing other things though. So technically, I'm kind of like distracting myself with something else, you know? She's realizing that she's even more addicted than she thought. Yeah. Let's lock Neela in the room without technology with us, so she'll be obligated to stare at our ugly faces the whole day. Nah, you guys aren't ugly. What the hell? The whole family getting around the TV to watch Top Gear was peak childhood in the UK. Oh.
You learned delayed gratification wasn't just acceptable, it was normal. You have what researchers call a balanced childhood that straddled the line between analog and digital worlds. You climbed trees and coded websites. You played tag and played video games. You read books and browsed the early internet. That balance is rare, and it's valuable. Today, 90s babies are in their mid-20s to mid-30s. You're contributing to...
Okay, you didn't have to like say it like that. What the hell? Okay, bro. Like, okay, whatever.
...to society in significant ways. You bring traditional values and technological fluency. You translate between generations at work. You bridge your boomer parents and your Gen Alpha kids. You're the mediators, the explainers, the ones who remember both before and after. Here's what nobody tells you about being a 90s baby. You'll spend your life caught between nostalgia and adaptation. You'll watch younger generations grow up completely digital and feel both envious and relieved they'll never know what they're missing. You'll hear older generations romanticize the good old days and think,
I don't know, I feel like, this definitely has to be like some culture thing as well. Because like, I'm sure like other Germans in the chat can probably like back me up on this. Most of the time, I don't think our parents like make us use technology that hard when we're kids. You know, like it's pretty common to like go outside, do board games, you know, stuff like that when we're kids. It's only when you're like a bit older, maybe like 13, 14, that's when they like start introducing, you know, technological stuff into your life though.
I actually remember those days. They weren't that simple. You're not better than other generations. You're different, shaped by timing, by being born at the exact moment when the old world was ending and the new one was beginning. You carry both. You belong fully to neither. And maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's wisdom. You see what younger generations lost. You understand what older generations can't grasp. You hold both truths without needing to pick a side. The world changed while you were growing up, and instead of breaking you, it made you adaptable, resilient, aware. You're not confused about who you are.
I mean, I'm joking. This video definitely makes generalizations a little too broadly, in my opinion. I think so as well. I actually do think so as well. I insist it must be more of a parents thing than generation. Yeah, that's actually what I'm trying to like, you know, make you guys understand. I genuinely think it depends on the upbringing.
You're just the only generation that remembers both worlds clearly enough to compare them honestly. If this felt personal, if you've been carrying this nostalgia and didn't know why, You're not alone. This channel explores the psychology of people caught between worlds. Subscribe to understand the patterns shaping who you are. And if you're a 90s baby, drop your birth year in the comments. Let's see how many of us are out here, quietly bridging two worlds nobody else remembers existed simultaneously. Because you're not nostalgic for the 90s. You're nostalgic for the feeling of being fully present. And maybe, just maybe, you can find that feeling again.
Aww. Oh my god, damn. How many of you guys were like born in the 90s though? I'm kind of curious. I'm actually kind of curious. 91, 91, 87, 92, 93, 97.
Ayla, what is your opinion on gentle parenting?